Hi, I'm Joel Bittner with the Placer Mosquito and Vector Control District, and I'm going to share with you our experience going through the regulations in order to spray with a small UAS. UAS spray applications have applicability to lots of different sectors, not just mosquito control, but I'm hoping that our experience using a small UAS, less than 55 pounds gross takeoff weight, using Part 107 and 137 civil regulations will help you get started, and you can draw some analogies with our mosquito control example into your own specific situation. We're not going to talk about large just because it's a little bit more onerous regulations, and it's more difficult to get it, and I don't have any experience with that. All right, so 5 steps to be able to spray with a small UAS. First, you got to get your Part 107 pilot certification. Then you have to understand that there are some portions of 107 and 137 that you need to be exempted from. That involves an application to the FAA in Washington, D.C. You have to work with your local FSDO to get an agricultural aircraft operating permit under Part 137. You have to comply with state or local regulations, and then obviously you have to consider your pesticide labels and registrations for whatever product that you're applying. Here are the exemption sections that are necessary. So Part 107, you can't carry hazardous materials currently. You need exemption from that. All the other ones are in 137 and really are requirements that are more tailored towards manned aircraft and don't apply to unmanned aircraft. So when you file your exemption petition to the FAA, you have to delineate each one of those sections and explain why you need relief from them in order to accomplish whatever your planned mission is. You have to also demonstrate that these exemptions are in the public's interest. Those can be things like you have a smaller environmental footprint, you increase worker safety. For us, we're better able to do public health by preventing more mosquitoes. Things of that sort. You'll have to tailor that to your own particular circumstance. Safety is the number one factor that the FAA, and honestly, we should be also concerned about. So how do you choose your locations? What sort of risk assessments? What sort of mitigation measures do you put in place for each and every operation? That could be through manuals, that could be through training. Whatever you do, that needs to be explained in your petition. You need to explain training for your pilots and ground crew, and you have to provide system specifications for whatever drone you're going to be using. All right, one thing we did that helped quite a bit was we hired Wolf UAS early on in our journey with drones, and he helped us put together some operations and safety manuals. These are really our guiding documents. It helped us get a background knowledge on aviation principles and aviation language that we were able to leverage to be able to get our exemptions and phrase things and interact with the FAA in a way that they understand. That was ultimately beneficial for us. The system we've been using is the DJI Agras MG1S. And not only just the standard specifications that you would find in the manual, we also developed certain flight parameters for our particular spray situation. So how high, how fast, what the swath width is, what's the application rate. This was accomplished through quite a bit of trial and error and also some directed research to establish this. It's not a one-size-fits-all. For every circumstance, every product, every flow rate, you're going to have to kind of develop this for yourself. All right, to get your Ag Aircraft Operator Certificate, again, you go through your local Flight Standards District office. There's a 5-step process, and towards the end, they come out, and at least ours did from Sacramento, came out and observed a mock flight and walked us through, asked a lot of questions, made sure our paperwork was in order, our checklists, and we were following all the procedures. That was a great experience. I think we both got something out of it, and that got us our certificate. We have to comply with certain record keeping and designating a chief pilot and so forth in order for this to stay valid. But it doesn't expire, and that's a nice thing. In California, we also had to get the Pest Control Aircraft Pilot Certificate, whereas the operating certificate was for our district, our organization. The PCAP is for each pilot. They have to go in and take a 100-question test and pass it in order to be granted this certificate. It's a brand new category for unmanned aircraft that was added by statute back in 2018 and implemented last year. All right, and then finally, we have to understand that our pesticide labels, to my knowledge, none of them have specific directions for UAS spraying, which just means that any product we're going to put into that drone, we need to be sure that it's covered under the label language of whatever that product is. We had to work with our local agricultural commissioner and even the registrants or the manufacturers of the products in order to make sure that we're all in agreement that that's appropriate. And in most of our cases, we're able to determine that is in fact great, and so we've moved forward. All right, and then this is what this got us. We found our site, we did our pre-flight mission planning, initiated our automated spray mission. The drone is getting oriented and heading out to start spraying. Our pilot is monitoring flight ops. Our VOs are monitoring airspace and looking for hazards. The drone is doing its thing, and it will continue going through the pre-planned block until it runs out of juice, either electricity, battery power, or product that will return to base. Our ground crew will then do a fill up of the pesticide tank, swap the battery. They've been able to do that in about a minute or less. Hit go, and the drone goes back to where it left off, and it continues on. It's taken some practice and some training and some tweaks to our procedures here and there, but this has proven to be a successful and efficient way to treat some of these areas. So with that, I'd just like to acknowledge all of the staff at Placer Mosquito and Vector Control District who have made this possible, in addition to the support of our board and our contractors and other folks that have been able to help us along this process, so we've had a successful project. Thank you very much, and I hope this has been helpful.